Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, you're welcome. My name is Anita, Handmade Creation, and if you're a member, you're welcome back. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you on how to cut and sew this palazzo pattern. First thing what I did was to go ahead and fold my fabric right side facing each other, draw a straight line which is going to be my straight line. I'm going to be using a waistband of 1 inch, so I'll minus 1 inch from there. Measure from my waist to my hip depth, which is 8 inch, from my waist to my crotch depth, which is 9.5 inch, but I add a half inch to it. Altogether is 10 inch. From my waist to my knee line, which is 20 inch, and from my waist to the hemline, which is 42 inch, including my hemming allowance. After doing so, I'm going to go ahead and connect it up with the straight line. If you don't know how to get a crotch depth line, you simply go ahead and divide around your hip measurement by 4, whatever you have. You can go ahead and add half inch like I did here, okay? Then after that, I'll just go ahead and connect those points up with the straight line. Then I'll pin it up so that when I'm working on it should not move. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'll take around my hip, divide it by 4, which is 38 divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5 inch. First of all, I want to mark at this 1.5 inch from this side and just mark that up and connect it up. We are going to be using that. So this allowance, I'm leaving it at the side, is if in case we want to add any sewing allowance, we just go ahead and use it and add up our sewing allowance. Now I will take round my hip, which is 38 divided by 4 is going to give me 9.5 inch. I'll mark it up here, and I'm also going to come here. I'll also mark it up here, 9.5. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect it up like this with a straight line. So you can see me doing right there. Now to get the crotch extension, is what you're going to do is simply take that 9.5, you're going to divide it by 2, then you will divide it again by 2. All together we'll divide it by 4. Then whatever you have, you're going to extend it up here like this. Then I'm going to go up by 2.5 inch here. Then I'll be connecting these points up like this. Once I'm done doing so, the next thing I want to do is to come here. I'm going to go in by half an inch, and I'm going to go down by half inch. After doing so, I'll go ahead and connect it up like this, like you can see me doing here. Then I'm going to connect it up like this, all the way to that. The next thing I want to do is you're going to come now. We'll be getting the lap line. If you want to use your lap line, it's normally 3 or 2 inch below your crotch depth line, okay? So I'll just go ahead and mark mine because I'll be using it up here. But if you want, you just connect it all the way from the crotch line all the way downward, okay? So round my lap line is 23. You take that 23, you're going to divide it by 2, okay? Take that 23, divide it by 2 because we are using it by 2. Divide it, whatever you get, you're going to place it up here. Then go ahead and mark that up. Then I'm going to measure up whatever I have here on that lap line. I'll be adding up half an inch as well for the sewing allowance. I'm just going to go ahead and connect that point up. Then I'll measure up whatever I have on the lap line. I will mark it on the nail line, and as well I'm going to mark it on the hem line. After doing so, you're going to go ahead and connect that up with your ruler. You see what I've just done there, right? Now, we're going to pull this down. We'll be putting in our measurement right now. When I'll be cutting it, I'm going to add half an inch, and I'll also add half inch to the side as well, okay? That's why we left this allowance here at this other part. I will go ahead now and just cut that part up. So if you realize I do not use the waist measurement at the front piece, that's because I want to use this to cut the back piece. And once I'm done doing so, cutting the back piece, I'm going to go ahead. I'll be using my waist measurement for the front. Remember the back piece, we're supposed to add up a dark. So what I have there is 9.5 inch. Round my waist measurement is 30. 30 divided by 4 is going to give me 7.5, then plus my sewing allowance and 1 inch for my dart. That's why I do not add this up. But if you want, you just go ahead and use your waist measurement. Okay, mark your waist measurement on the front. Don't be confused here. So what I'm going to do is we're still going to get a cross extension for the back. To do so, you simply take that 1/4 of the hip, divide it by 4. Whatever you have, you're going to extend it up here. Remember that we already have some 1/2 inch of allowance included. So mark it from where the line, the original line is, not from that 1/2 inch. I hope it is clear. The next thing I'm going to do is to come here. I'm going to go in by 1.5 inch. Then I'll go up by 2 inch. If you're somebody that you're that boaty, go up by 2.5 inch. Now I'll measure up whatever I have from here to here. I'm going to transfer it up to this part here. This is how I'm placing up my tape, and you want to make sure that you have a straight line here because this side that's going to be joining together. Then I'm going to go ahead now and just connect this up like this, as you can see, and I'm going to go ahead at this side. I will just add up 1/2 inch, or you can go ahead and add 1 inch for the sewing allowance, or 1/2 inch, but I'm adding just 1/2 inch here. I also do the same thing here. I'm going to do the same thing at the other side as well. Okay, you see, I'll just make sure that it is what I have. Then I'm going to go to the downer part. I'll also mark that 1/2 inch at the downer part. Don't make that mistake. All the way to the hemline. So once I'm done doing so, now we're going to work here at this other side. I'm going to come here. I'll be marking 1.5 inch on the lap line. Then here I'll mark 1 inch, and then at the hemline I'm going to mark 1 inch. After doing so, I'm going to go ahead. I will connect it up like that. Then I'm going to go ahead now and come here. I'm going to open it up like this. Just mark this point. Okay, and mark, you can just measure up the midpoint of whatever you have from here to here. Measure up whatever you have divided by 2, then you mark the midpoint. After doing so, I'm going to go ahead and open that up, pass through that midpoint, and go ahead and connect that point up like this. You see what I've just done there, right? Connect it up. When you're connecting it up, you don't want it to be too curvy because you don't want to have any funny shape around there when you are done sewing it, okay? This is what I have. I'll connect that up. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect this other side. After doing so, I will cut it and we'll be done with the cutting. Remember I said I did not use my waist measurement here on the waist, okay? Because this is going to be very confusing. I'll be using that. I included my sewing allowance, blah blah blah. All the 9 inch, I mean the 9.5 inch is included with my darts and my sewing allowance. So don't get confused. So once I'm done cutting it, I'll be done with this. So I hope you find this tutorial helpful. If you do, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, comment, and share. I hope to see you on this sewing DIY coming up very soon. Thank you so much for watching. See you. Bye.